I get a lot of questions from people, mostly from people who only speak one language, that they ask me what it feels like to go from not knowing anything in the language to working with to fluency. For those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Devon. I'm African American. I, as an adult, have learned three languages up to differing levels of fluency. Hablo español fue mi segundo idioma. 中文、普通话，具体来说，普通话就是我第三门语言。我是在上大学的时候开始学的。我學講廣東話，不過我啲普通話仲講得好過廣東話啦。And because I've repeated the process 3 times now, I feel extremely confident in telling you all how the process feels from not knowing anything in the very beginning stages all the way up to being able to communicate with natives. So the first stage is obviously when you're a beginner. This is going to be a stage where you don't really know anything at all about the language, or you have very little knowledge about the language. This is the time where words don't really sound like words to you just yet. They just kind of sound like sounds. You have no mental connection to the word. So if someone were to tell you to say a cuss word, or someone were to teach you how to say a cuss word in the language, you would say it with no problem because you don't have any sort of feeling to the sounds that you're hearing. There's also when you were very reliant on external resources just for basic communication with people, whether that be Google Translate, whether that be, some sort of AI, whether it's an actual translator with you, because you don't really know too much. You don't know anything really. This is also when you're going to be the most anxious or the most hesitant when talking to native speakers, when you try to practice or whatever, because again, you're not really working with much. Now, the second stage is in your novice stage. This is when you are picking up very basic words / sentences, things for survival, like hello, how are you, I'm good, thank you, that type of thing. Me personally, I found and I still do find it very draining in the novice stage, because this is when you can't really understand still what the native speakers are telling you. You might be able to pick up a word here and there, but nothing enough to allow you to build a main idea of what they're talking about. So it is very mentally draining, I would say. Now, the intermediate stage is where things kind of get fun, because the intermediate stage is where you can start having study partners, language partners who's a native speaker of that language that you're learning. I recommend waiting until this stage to get a language partner, because if you get it beforehand, it's not very effective communication. It's kind of like a dog trying to talk to a baby. Like it's not gonna work. So I would wait until this stage at least to try to talking to people. At this stage of the game, you're still making very frequent grammar mistakes. A lot of vocab words will slip you by. You start building confidence though, because you have a bigger vocab to work with. Honestly, the vocab builds up pretty quickly. Even if you're learning a language that has a completely different writing system, it still goes a lot faster than you would expect. Let's say like the first day you learn 5 words that are completely different from your writing language. Okay, 5 words. That might take you, let's say it takes you a week to learn just those 5 words. Now that you got those 5 words and your brain is getting used to seeing that writing script, whatever it may be, you're starting to develop more an understanding of how it works. So the first 5 words took you 5 days to learn. Now, if we just add one more word onto it, it might not take you that long, because you already have these 5 words and you have a standard of what it looks like. So now to learn this one extra word, it might not take you 5 days. It might take you just 1 day. Now you have 6 words. And your brain gets more and more used to it. It compounds over time. So it took you 6 days to learn these 6 words. Now to learn another 6 words, it might only take you 2 days. So now you have 12 words in just 8 days. Then you're like, okay, I'm starting to really understand it. Now you can learn 12 more, and it might only take you a single day. I don't remember what day we're on, but at this point, you doubled the amount of words that you knew just because your brain is getting used to it and is processing these words a lot faster. The advanced category is where you start to really become more independent with your learning. And by that I mean you don't necessarily need to have a native speaker around to continue learning. This in my experience has been where I start thinking in the language. I no longer have to rely on translation from English or Spanish to my target language. This is where I start to self correct myself. When I say something, I can hear that it's wrong. I can hear I said something wrong, and I can, in conversation, correct myself on what I actually meant to say. And this is where your the confidence that you started building in the intermediate stage, this is where it starts to snowball and starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you are not really that anxious or hesitant to have meaningful conversations with native speakers of your target language. And when you finally get to fluency, this is where it seems like all the problems just kind of faded away. So you have no problem communicating with natives on, non-technical subjects. I say non-technical because even in your native language, you're not going to be able to speak about every and whatever subject you want. You only are able to speak on what you know. For example, if I talk to you about, I don't know, rocket science or something, I don't know much about rocket science myself, but if I were to talk to you about that, there will be a lot of words that I don't know how to say. You might not know how to say, maybe have never seen before. So I think it's also important that you keep realistic goals along this whole language learning journey. Because again, you're not going to know everything about the language. It's not really, well, first off, it's not really that possible to know everything about a language. Second of all, it's not really practical. So learn what you want to talk about and push forward with that. Even if later on you realize, I like this subject or I need to talk about this subject, but I really don't know too much about it. And then from there, it just becomes regular research. It's let's say you were in college and you had to write a paper on something you have no idea about. Well, you would take the time to research that, learn about it, learn what vocab people in that industry use, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same as that. You're just researching, but just in a different language. So it becomes less of language learning and more of simply just doing research in another language, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I hope it does. And once you reach fluency, there, in my experience, has really never been any mental fatigue once I'm fluent in a language. When you first starting out, you tend to have that mental fatigue where you're like, oh my God, like I've been speaking French for 2 hours. Like my brain is tired. Like I need to take a nap or something. When you get to fluency, you just speak in the language and you don't feel any fatigue. And to me, one of the greatest things about learning languages in general is that the first one may be daunting. It may take you a long time, depending on the language that you're learning and the languages that if it's your first language, you wouldn't know any other languages. Or sorry, first foreign language, you wouldn't know any other languages. But the thing about learning languages is that after you learn your first foreign language, the second one comes to you quicker, and the third comes to you quicker than the second, and the fourth comes quicker than the third. That's because as you go on and you develop your sense for learning languages, it gets easier to recognize the patterns between these languages and the best way for you to study based on your needs, based on how you think. So, just to give you an example, it would be easier for somebody working on their fifth foreign language to learn than someone who only knows one language trying to learn that same language. They will learn it much faster because again, they already have knowledge on how to learn a language, and they already have that area of their brain developed for language learning. So it becomes a lot easier with time. A lot easier with time. If you want to continue learning about what exactly I do to learn languages, my exact method written out, join the waitlist in the description down there. I'm working on a revised version of an ebook that I've already sold to couldn't tell you how many people, and it's gonna be a lot better this time with more details. I've gotten a lot of reviews on it, and I'm revising it, make it even better for you guys. So go to the description, click on that waitlist link, and join up.